Hello Wargamers, it's me Callum from TableTopBanter, and today we have another video for you. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, obviously by the title, it's Let's Talk Age of Sigmar, and we're going to talk about why you should try it. So, the reason Harry and I got into it was because we looked at the rules, and we looked at the models, and we were like, hey, it's a 4-page rule set, the models are really cool, let's just go and do it. And we did, and that is what I think the beauty of Age of Sigmar is. How simple you can just get into the game, models and rules wise. So I really want to break it down into sort of a few different sections about this chat. It's only going to be a short video, hopefully I don't want to drag on too long, but I want to talk about the models themselves, I want to talk about the rules, and just sort of like the hobby, the game, as a general. So let's talk about the rules first, because they're nice and simple. We can cover those pretty quickly. There's a 4-page rule set. There are recently announced that there are going to be some things coming out for points costs, for narrative gaming, for open gaming, etc., which are all very interesting. In particular, I think the points cost, because it's a nice structured way of playing the game, and I do like a bit of structure. But also the fact that they're keeping the open and the narrative side with the stuff like the battle plans, yeah, things like that. So I think that's really, really interesting, and I'm really glad they're trying to really expand it to make it a more broad game. Because I think including some composition for those who want to play competitive and keeping it open for those who don't is fantastic. So actually, hats off to Games Workshop on that one. Not something I usually say, but they've got this one right, I think. So the rules are simple, easy to learn. You can have lots of like composition systems that are out there. Obviously, Games Workshop are now releasing their own kind of composition system, which is fantastic. So really, the rules are so simple, you can just learn it. It's not like a 40k rulebook, which is the best part of 200 pages long. It is 4 pages. So I would 100% recommend just having a read over the rules. They're free, they're online. Just give it a read. And I know it sounds simple, but when you get into playing the game, there are tactical decisions to make. It's not like just I move forward, you move forward. We end up in the middle, in a big ball of mess. So I do think the rules are kind of cool. And now the second point I want to talk about is the figures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the second camera and we're going to have a look at some figures. And here are my Glade Guard. So we have a small conversion on the front, which is my Glade Lady, or my Glade Lord, with the Sword of Lorraine and her fancy bow. And then we've got some Glade Guards sat at the back, pumping out shots from their bows. So these figures are cool. Not necessarily the paint job. I mean, it was a nice, simple paint job for me. I really enjoyed making it. But that's not the cool bit. The cool bit for me are the poses, sort of that fantasy-esque kind of thing. It's another different thing to paint than just power armor, and I always love something a little bit different. So you get a box of these guys, Glade Guard, for I think it was £20.50 from Games Workshop or something like that. But if you actually shop around, you can get it much cheaper. In particular, I know that Triple Helix Wargames do a lot of their boxes 25% off. They don't have the entire stock, but 25% off of the smaller things is fantastic. I mean, that's really good. So I'll definitely be using them for a couple of extra things to expand my Wood Elves, which is awesome. It's just awesome. I love it. So the figures are really cool. And what I want to talk about with the figures in particular is there's a lot of room for just building things to look awesome. In the old fantasy, you had the square bases and the movement trace. You had to really condense the way you built it so they could all fit. But this has given you that 40k element of scenic sort of feel to it, which is what I really love as well. You can get these really cool visual things happening on a board, and that I'm a massive fan of. So I am on a mission to try and paint these guys up and get 2 more boxes, I reckon. I want some Eternal Guard and Sisters of Thorn, and then once I can get those guys all done, that'd be fantastic. I'll have a nice little collection then of Wood Elves. And the beauty of this game is as well, you have a few main factions, and they can all work together. So Order, for example, you can take Wood Elves, High Elves, Dark Elves, Stormcast, not Bretonnians because they've just gone, but the kind of the human race. And I think that's brilliant as well. I think the fact that it's an open source kind of game is great. But the figs and the models, the minis, they look so good. So 100% recommend it just for the painting, just for the fun of it. You can do a lot with them. They're just like Games Workshop makes some of the best miniatures, I think. I know that they're expensive, but they are definitely some of the best miniatures out there. And you can do things like this, a small simple conversion just to make a Glade Guard stand out a little bit more and become my Glade Lady. And that's fantastic. You know, that was just £20, 50p. So I'm just going to talk about one last thing, which is getting into the hobby. So a lot of people look at 40k and they say, hey, I've got to pay for a rulebook, a codex, a minimum of 500 points of units, just as a bare minimum. So that's, you know, you can fork out like 200 quid to get just into the hobby. That was £20 and I'm now in the hobby of Age of Sigmar. It's that simple. Everything's free to download. You can buy the books, and I'm actually thinking of getting the order book because I like the good guys. And I really want to have a little bit of a read of some of the story so I can understand the fluff of it a bit better, not just the beautiful minis. So, yeah, I just want to say it's definitely worth giving a go. Age of Sigmar is something you should try because it's a cheap buy-in, they're really nice models to paint, and the game is a nice, simple, you just sit down and play it with a buddy. And there's nothing wrong with having that hobby element in your life. Yes, you can strive for the competitive gaming and that's great, and there are games out there for that. But for me, Age of Sigmar is more of a having a laugh with a friend, rolling some dice, you know, and just enjoying the hobby. Because you can get too caught up in the competitive side of a game. Don't get me wrong, Harry and I really did try and win the game we played of Age of Sigmar when he absolutely thrashed me. But you know, you can just get a bit too caught up in the competitive side, and it's nice to have this kind of hobby relief, this kind of gaming relief. So I'm going to end it here for fear of rambling on too long. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Is it something you're interested in? Are you skeptical that it's not going to get enough support from Games Workshop, etc.? Because I think that has been proven so wrong with what they've been doing lately, and I am really, really excited for the future of this game. I mean, you have to look at it as a separate game to fantasy, unfortunately. I know that's a really difficult thing for veterans to do. It's very easy for me because I've just gotten into it, but it's a new game and I like it. And I would recommend, at the very least, just looking over the rules. Hey, it's free. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. It's been me, Callum from Tabletop Banter. Don't forget, have fun.